All right. So this is what I'm doing. Taking cuttings from my tomato jungle, and I'm going to. This is the end of season, so I'm just trying to have something through the season that I can put in my greenhouse. You know, I can't dig them up. If I do, then they're gonna die, and I can lose everything. So I'm just taking some cuttings right now. So I'm gonna show you guys how I take cuttings. It's not that hard. You know, you just go through and you pick out the best cuttings. It's mostly like what do you call them? Like little bud eyes, like little eyes of the plant. I'll be looking for. But usually I look for areas like this right here. So this is not a good one, I don't think. Something like this will be good. Right here already has a tomato growing on it. So what I usually do is I take my shears. I don't know, people are gonna think this is a waste, but cut the tomato off in that free branch, and you have the flower and that stem. So that's about it. That's about it. Then I go take it and put it over here in my little water with the rest of them. So I got over a dozen right now. So they'll stay in there until they start to grow roots, and then I'll put them in pots. But you're gonna need dirt too as well. You know what I'm saying? So you're gonna need dirt. So, and you're gonna need spare pots, which I have lots of. So I'm just picking out the plants that I want right now. And you can also take cuttings like this in right here. If you cut below the node right here, be good. Because it's already started branching out. So you know it has the potential to grow further. So cut below the node, cut the node off. And that's what you have right there. That's the cutting. I'll cut this branch off too as well, because it doesn't really need them. So that's about all you need right there. And this has worked pretty good for me. I mean, something I started doing. I thought about it last year when I was doing it. Never got around to doing it. I tried to transplant all the tomatoes and all the peppers and stuff into my greenhouse, and yeah, they ended up dying. But trial and error this year, I'm just gonna go ahead and here's a good one right here too as well. Right here. Get that out the way. So right here, it's a good one. Don't even have to do nothing but pull it off. Yep, it's a nice one. And along the edges right here, along the leg or along the branch, you have a bunch of little prickly spines. Those are gonna be roots. Those are the roots. So you don't need a lot. I mean, I want at least 2 dozen of them, and I want them from each plant because my plants that already started growing. It's my planter boxes where I keep my compost and stuff at. How did you get up there? Get back in your house. Come on. Hey, chicken head. But I was coming over here to get these right here until I saw Batty over here standing on top of my bench. But yeah, so a lot of good potential spots for to get cuttings and stuff. So you want to try and grab a node if you can. You know, like in the middle, this node right here is perfect. And sometimes if you bend it, it'll just pop right off. That's perfect. And it doesn't affect the plant. So then just cut off the ends. Even this long one right here too. And there you have it. What do you want? You curious? Get on out of here. We got factions of chickens in here. It's the Illuminati chicks against all the mixed colors. Cause they'll fight each other and shit. So yeah, this is what I'm doing. Collecting my cuttings. In about a week or two, it's gonna get colder and my tomato plants are gonna start dying. And I'm gonna try and harvest off all of the tomatoes. Try to get as many as I can. And I'll go from there. But if I don't, why am I walking this way? If I don't, at least I'll have some of them. And I'll be able to start them back up. And I might even grow some tomatoes inside, depending on, if those flowers already been pollinated. They're closed up right now because it's getting dark, and they usually close up at night. The flowers do. But I'm gonna grab some more of them. See if I can grab some. And it's good to grab some, with the flowers on them, because at least they have the potential of growing tomatoes on them. But if you don't, this is a good one right here. See, in between here is that cross mark. So I'll grab this middle one right here and just bend it back, and it'll pop right off. So that's a one. Let's see if I can find another good one. Sometimes you find them like here, the intersection. Just grab it and pull it, and it'll come right off. Right at that node right there. So it's like they're just little potential clones. And these tomato bushes, man, they make me irritate my skin. But you want full leaves. I don't think it's good to grab these right here. Even though this is a node, it hasn't proven that it'll grow anything, because it doesn't have, anything growing on it. Plus, it doesn't look like it's going to grow anything on it. But this is just the easy way I figured out how doing it. And look at these girls. Just standing around the water cooler, doing nothing. Yeah, it's going on 6 years with these chickens. And they've been doing pretty good. They don't do too much. And see, this is a good node right here. See how it just popped off? And look at it. Has good potential of growth. I'm gonna keep this one over the last two I got. And look, it doesn't matter. This is not a a right or wrong type of thing. This is how I figured out I should do it. Because ultimately, I'm gonna get tomatoes off these plants right here. Ultimately. But, I want something that I don't have to put in the ground, because these all came from seeds. So I could just grow this and hold on to it until next season, and I'll have a full-grown plant. I put it in the ground. Just gotta, harden it off when it starts getting warm. Cut off those ends. There you have it right there. It's a nice tomato plant, and it'll start even growing tomatoes if those flowers have been pollinated. So it's not a big deal on what type you get. I just like the ones with the flowers on them, just in case, with the potential to grow tomatoes. And as you can see, I got a few of them on here. I want to knock that over. Got a few of them in there. All right. Let me see. Anything I see in here looks nice. But I try to grow a variety of stuff. Me and my wife, we try to grow a variety of stuff. I forgot what this is called. Lavender? No, not lavender. Probably a family of sage, from the family of sage. But they produce their own seeds. I don't have to do this, but these are the seeds. And you just scatter them around. When it rains, they'll absorb into the sand and start to grow. And these are hops and alfalfa mix. So I was trying to grow some alfalfa. You know, it's good for the chickens. They like it. And then, of course, some grapes and stuff like that. You can see everything is starting to die down. Starting to get ready to start dying off. And then I'm going to start on this new trellis for my grapes, for my little vineyard here. So I can get that going so it won't look like just a big pile of mess. Because these past couple years, I've just been worried about it growing and flourishing. So it's been flourishing. So now it's starting, I need to start shaping it, getting it ready. And then some more grapes. But right now it was all about propagating and taking clones from my tomatoes. And some of these tomatoes I didn't even put in the ground. You know, I didn't put seeds down. This was from older tomato patches that have grown, and I just tilled them in over here in the planter boxes and left them. You know, because all the green, once it starts to die down, becomes good fertilizer, good mulch. So I grinded it all up. I got a little tiller. I grinded it all up into the soil, and then these tomato plants came back. I have some pepper plants in there that the tomatoes have just overgrown. So you can't see the pepper plants in here. But that's how it works. Good water, good light, and it'll take care of itself. There's not much you could do. Now imagine if I had fields of this stuff like this. I would be getting so many tomatoes. I mean, because right now I can count dozens of tomatoes on here coming up. And they're just coming up, getting ready to become ripe. They're all in here, you know, and as the season starts to close, they'll start getting red. And I don't know why it takes so long for vegetables to grow out here in Nevada like this. But they're all over the place. Here it is, end of September, and I got tomatoes on the vine, but they're not all ripe. Now there's a technique you can utilize with bananas to ripen your tomatoes once you harvest them at being green. But right now they're a little small. You know, and when you're doing this like seed, it takes longer. So, and I didn't put those tomatoes in, so that was just what they grew from last year. And I'm gonna do the same thing. These planter boxes will be, you know, set up just for, and they're not really they're not really boxes. It's just borders, wood that separates the soil. Once I put it in there and start treating it, it just gives me an area where I can designate specifically for the tomatoes or for whatever I'm planting. So there's a lot of tomatoes on here. You can't see them. The day is starting to die down. But some of them are getting ready to be harvested. And we've been picking them every day when we see red ones on here. And it's been an everyday type job. So yeah, I mean, it's not really hard, man. Once you start your first tomato patch, if you just didn't pull it up, just, you know, kind of let it die in the area where it actually was, and if there was some tomatoes left over, you know, you can take those tomatoes and you can till them in to the soil. And it's not an exact science or anything like that, but it helps out. Just got to get a few more of these cuttings, and then I'm going to call it a night. But yeah, I haven't been doing too many videos about this, but it's some food for thought. See, like this is a good spot right here. See, I just had to bend that one, and it came right off. Just bend it a little bit, and it'll pop right off. This is a good one right here. Yeah, this is a good one. And you don't have to leave the flowers on there. I leave the flowers on there sometimes because, you know, with the potential of growing tomatoes. But cuttings where the flowers are further to the ground, further to the bottom, you don't need them because all of that area that's submerged in water is going to become roots. And you get yourself some free tomatoes, free tomato plants. But if you go to Lowe's or some stuff like that, you're going to be paying like $10, $15 for a tomato plant that possibly, if you bring it home, it won't grow anything, or it won't even survive, because you know most of these stores like Home Depot and Walmart and stuff, they put a lot of Miracle-Gro in their plants just to keep them appealing to the customers and stuff like that. So if you don't keep up that regimen when you take them home, then it's most likely that your plants will die. I don't put no Miracle-Gro in these, just the stuff that's in the soil, you know, and water. That's it. You know, and occasionally, you know, if we produce a lot of worm tea, because we grow worms, we raise worms for our reptile. If we have a lot of leftover worm tea, we'll dilute it and put it in here. But that's far and few in between. We don't really do a lot of that worm tea stuff, you know, especially when you don't have a lot of space to work with. We don't just pour it on the plant, we pour it on the soil. So if we just pour it in here, then that area right there, if it doesn't get, you know, pushed out into the rest of the soil, to be right there for a while until, you know, the ground is disturbed. And then I'll usually come through right before, you know, the season starts, and I'll break out my little tiller. Let me show you guys my little tiller. Real cheap, man. Didn't even cost me 200 bucks. Just a little Craftsman tiller. And you just grind up everything into the soil. Real easy. You know, it doesn't cost you anything. I buy this little canned fuel. So, True Fuel, 40 to 1. And that's this, matter of fact, this is the first gardening tool I've ever purchased for something like that. And it's lightweight, so I just put it in the box. Once everything becomes brown and starts shriveling up, you know, usually after probably the third or fourth frost, everything is pretty much dead. And then I'll come through and I'll till all of it into the soil. So that'll be my next year's, you know, nutrients for my grow. So I don't waste anything, because throwing all this stuff away, you know, you gotta throw it in a trash can and stuff like that. You know, and then if you got too much soil, or if you have an abundance of soil, let me let them back into their coop, because I know they want to go back in the house. You guys going up the roost? All right. Well, let me do a head count. 2, 4, 6, 7. All right, chill out. I don't fuck with you. So, the Illuminati chicks out. They don't care. They say we turn in when we get ready to. But yeah, I usually do that. And then my other lonely girl up in here, she's in here by herself. All her sisters. Chicken's life expectancy is, it's a shot in the dark, man. They can get sick off of anything. I had 4 chickens in here. They were all orange like this. She's the only one left. And that's over a 5-year period, though. You know, usually chickens will live for a long time, you know, if they don't come across stuff like that. Because we have some pretty harsh winters and some hot summers out here, too. But she's hanging in there. This is her 6th year, along with the other ones. So we got about 10. And at first, it wasn't like that, you know. The chickens being small, and then they were just starting to produce and everything. But all of this stuff, man, comes from the chickens. All of this entire box right here comes from chickens. And this is all of their manure and everything. And we usually scrape it out once a year. I've been giving this stuff away too. Been bagging it, sandbags, and giving it away to the locals around here in the community, because, I mean, you know, we have cows and stuff, but chicken manure is just like like gold sometimes for these guys. They like chicken manure. I don't know why. But yeah, I don't try to make money off of it, you know, because it's free to me. You know, I get the eggs from the chickens, so that's payment enough for me to take care of them. And they've been pretty pretty generous. They've been doing pretty good. Setup is not that complicated. You know, I got uh, two nesting boxes for the chickens. You know, one for every 10 chickens, so they got enough. They got over enough space for themselves. And then these two are here. They're starting to go in. Let's see. You girls going in? Oh no, you're not going in. Y'all gonna sit on the door. Not too smart, ladies. But they have a nice little setup too as well. And this is just a chicken coop I had, a starter coop for the chicks that they grew out of. And I tore it down, made it a little, put it up on stilts, you know. And this is like a little roosting area for them. So they're getting ready to go in right now. So they go in here and roost, so they're outside of the elements. And it's not much, man. This stuff is, you know, it's just thrown together. I mean, I use whatever I can. All recyclable materials. You know, old 4x4s, sticks and stuff like that, split 2x4s and chicken wire and fencing wire and stuff like that I find. And that's just to make sure that nothing comes and bothers them at night. So they ain't living in an enclosed environment. And all of them have doors so they can come and go when you want and let them out. But I done talked most of my light away because I'm out here watering my trees, my fruit trees, which surprisingly, this year I didn't get too much out here this year. This year I didn't get too many apples, didn't get too many pears, you know, my peaches, my little dwarf peach tree. I didn't get none. Looks like some are coming in though. Looks like some are coming in. Yeah, I've been watching some videos. I think those little polyps right there are the beginning of peaches. So peaches can go into the wintertime too a little bit. So if I get something, that's gonna be a added bonus to this year too as well. But most of the stuff I'm gonna get is just gonna be tomatoes and peppers this year. You know, if these peppers, you can't see them right now. I'll probably show a video when I get ready to prune out most of this stuff to get to my peppers in there. But they're in there, you know, far and few in between. Yep. But that's about it. I wanted to show you guys about my little propagation and how I get my cuttings. And that's how I'm going to be doing it from now on. Because starting by seeds, depending on how the environment is, if it's too hot, it takes a while for the plants to come up and then most of them die. But you see how these become overgrown, you know. And I just let them go because I knew I was going to take some cuttings this year too as well. I wanted to make sure that everything was healthy enough for me to take. And then also as well get some tomatoes off of it. So I think I went a little too far this year. But next year, yeah, this is my setup. I was going to have them hanging from this. And that's how we did in the previous years. We would hang them from these strings right here, each vine. But this year, being lazy, and plus I wanted to get a lot of cuttings, I wanted to let them just grow, you know, however they wanted to. So, and this is what ended up happening. So, appreciate you guys for coming out. Like, share, and subscribe. And I'll be bringing you guys more of these. Salutes to the real ones.